Hello. So there are some technical difficulties and is not doing what I want it to do. Somehow it got switched, like it looked like last second, it switched from AM to PM. So I don't know if people got the link and reminder in time. I'm going to go ahead and go through it and hopefully people will get it and join us. And if not, always reach out via email. And I'm going to go through everything and you can watch it in the replay. So this is Homeschool Hero, 5 strategies to inspire self-confidence and a love of learning in your child. This is for parents who are ready to bust through boredom and learning challenges and see their child love learning with confidence. And I want to start with just thanking you. I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking this time to be here today for the sake of yourself and your children. I really hope that you find all of this very valuable. And I'm excited to get to know more of you better. I don't take your time lightly. I know that time is very precious for me. I feel like I never have enough time. So I am going to honor your time by giving you just a whole bunch of very powerful information that I hope sparks something in you. I really am interested in hearing your thoughts. So please let me know after, just email me, let me know what is going on. How are you feeling about it? So I'm going to show you powerful ways to up-level your child's love of learning and boost their engagement, increase their love of learning, elevate their self-confidence, and feel empowered for life. I will teach you exactly how to boost engagement and interest in learning. So if you are dedicated and you want to do it yourself, you absolutely can. I'm giving you a ton of really helpful, valuable information that I hope you were able to put to use. I'll also be giving you an opportunity to work with me directly to get a little more hands-on support, very specific, detailed, and we'll get into that more towards the end of our call today. So just stay till the end. There is information throughout and prizes throughout. There's also an exclusive bonus for those who are watching, listening, either live or the replay. So right now, struggling homeschoolers think that if they can just find the right curriculum, angels sing, everyone's working, right? If I can just find it, which means they're spending a lot of money on different curricula trying to find which one is the right one. But what if it's not the curriculum that's the problem? Right now, worried parents think that if they can just find the right program or the right tutor, their child will be happily engaged in learning activities. Obviously, both of those were stock photos because you can only get images like that by making a child do it, right? Having a professional actor or model pose for that photo. Otherwise, it doesn't look quite like that. Even when really fun learning is happening, it doesn't look like this. And one of the biggest ones that I realized I really need to talk about is this one. Right now, frustrated and overwhelmed moms and dads and teachers, whether they're also the mom or dad, think that if they just bribe their child to get the math done, if you get this done, I'll give you a cookie. After you do this, then we'll go to the park. Whatever it is, whatever your version of bribes looks like, they think they'll get A+, everything will be fabulous. And we're going to get really, I'm going to go up on my soapbox a little bit about that one. But all of those lead to parents spending a lot of time and money researching curricula, programs, different products, and it leads to resistance from kids. So we're going to get into what can you actually do about it. So does any of that sound familiar? What struggles are you having? What have you tried? Let me know. So go ahead and exit out if you think that learning is supposed to be boring and tedious and forced upon a child. If you think that's how it's supposed to be, you probably don't want to hear what I have to say. If you think that education is only for public schools to worry about and you are not wanting to be involved in your child's education directly, then you probably are not interested in what I have to say. And if you feel like you have nothing more to learn, then you're not going to be in a mindset to learn anything. So if that does not apply to you, I encourage you to stick around. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. This is me and my 2 kids, along with my husband's knee in the one picture. This is at my happy place, which is the beach, which they also enjoy. So as you can tell, I have 2 littles. So I am an ocean lover. That's why the beach is my happy place. Scuba diving is one of my favorite activities. I have also over 15 years of experience educating children with special needs. So unlike a lot of people who are speaking to a homeschooling audience, I'm not just talking about the experience that I've had with my children. I'm talking about the experience I've had with hundreds of children and what I've learned through research and experience around education. I have worked in homes, teaching students in their homes in a few different capacities, and I have been and continue to be a teacher in a school, trying to do everything I can to make the kids that are attending public schools have the best experience possible. I have been recognized with multiple awards, recognitions for my work directly with students, as well as the work I'm doing when I'm collaborating with teachers and parents. And I am a problem solver. I love to solve problems. I love to figure out what is going on with a child's learning. What is their struggle? What can we do to help them overcome that struggle? I kind of one of my superpowers is okay, what is the actual challenge? What is that child's strengths? What is our actual goal? How do we put all of that together to find success? Rather than getting stuck in, well, he didn't finish his math assignment. Not a problem. That's not actually the problem. So I really dig down into those deeps, and I love coming up with problems and solutions. In fact, I feel like I'm constantly, anytime someone gives me a problem, I'm always thinking of things I've never even thought of before with oh, let's try this and let's try this and let's try this. Now, all of those ideas are always based off of all of the education and experience that I have regarding how kids learn, and then tying that to what I know about that very specific kid. So I never do anything the same with 2 separate kids. The kids that I work with directly, even identical twins, have different plans for learning. There's different strategies that I use with each of them. So everyone has a different learning profile, different challenges, different strengths, different interests, and all of that plays into how it's best to work with each child. Okay, so let's get back to what we're talking about. With all that time and money being wasted, bribes being used, we need to end that, because you're just wasting time, money, and you're driving your kid further away from being interested in their learning. And I know that's not what you want. So there's great news. And you probably already know what it is, if you go deep enough to think about it. The best use of your time is getting to know your kid. The best use of your time is getting to know your kid. You need to know your kid's interests and begin to spark new interests. So how do you do that? Steps 1 through 3 were sign up for the webinar. Done. Download the PDF. Hopefully you've done that. If you haven't, there'll be a link right below wherever you're watching this. Grab that PDF. If you, for some reason, have found this video in a weird place, email me, Kimberlyn@decodinglearningdifferences.com, and I can get you that PDF. And then show up for the webinar, watch the replay, stay until the end to get all the benefits and an extra bonus. All right, so step 4, take notes. Step 5, participate. Step 6, make a plan and do the work. As far as participating, because there's been some technical issues, go ahead and just email me answers to questions, your thoughts, anything. And I'm going to get some prizes to people who are just emailing me about what they're seeing and feeling. Okay. So your pre-webinar work was to watch or listen to that podcast, which kind of goes into interests. Put this webinar in your calendar. Hopefully you've at least taken the time out of your day to watch the replay. And then write out your child's interests. So that's what this page is mostly about, is write out your child's interests. What are they currently interested in? So what do you think they're interested in? Ask your child what they are interested in. Add that to the list. Ask at least one family member or a close friend what they think the kid is interested in. So for my own kids, I know that pretty much everyone who knows my 3-year-old will say that my 3-year-old loves construction. And that's true. But if I ask my 3-year-old what they're interested in, they're going to tell me things that I might not have thought of. And I'm going to write down things, if I keep going long enough, that my husband hasn't thought of, and Nana and Grandpa haven't thought of, or Grandma and Grandpa haven't thought of. So writing all those down help us really tune into what are all of the interests that this kid actually has, because that then can drive that intrinsic motivation to learn. So we're going to be talking about that very soon. Your next step is to think through what interest are you hoping to add to your child's education. And again, if you send me any of this in an email to respond back to me, you will be entered into a chance to win some prizes. So please do so. So on this page, you're writing down at least 3 interests for each of these categories, things that it would be beneficial for your child to be interested in. This might be as specific as adding and subtracting fractions, or you might just say math in general if your child is not really interested at all in math right now. However specific you want to be. Then the next category is write down at least 3 interests that you think are likely for your child to be interested in. So my child who's interested in construction is likely to be interested in any other large machinery. So I can think through, probably going to be interested in fire trucks, planes, other like tow trucks, or the construction of things, maybe architecture, maybe ancient architecture. So kind of thinking through an ancient construction things. So right there, I think I just listed 5 things that are related to that one interest of construction. And then the last section, write down at least 3 interests that you would love for your kiddo to be interested in. So this might be more about like, I would love for my kid to be interested in the ocean or ocean life, like, right? That's my passion. That's what I love. Okay, so write down at least 3 things that you would like them to be interested in. I would also like my kid to be interested in music, kids to be interested in music, and crafts, and like there's other ideas I had that I would be writing down. Okay, so this is what I warned you. I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. I want to talk about motivation. Motivation, just checking that I was recording. Motivation often is thought of as 2 types of motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic is outside of a person. They are doing something for a reward, which can include praise. So either a tangible, they get an M&M for reading a book, or a praise. Now, it's a kind of generic type of praise, or that they're doing it to get the praise. Examples: what a great reading. I love the way that your brother's reading. Right now you're like praising the other kid, making this one feel like there's something about them you don't love. So we have to be careful, right? We have to be very careful in our wording, because all of us, unless there's something amazing about your childhood that that I would love to hear about, all of us tend to have grown up in a very extrinsically motivated society. Our society is very capitalistic. We are very into, you work for this reward. But the more we research things, the more we know that people choose things based on what is interesting to them, what they're passionate about. They work hard when they care, when they feel connected to their workplace. There's so many other motivators that are intrinsic and that are actually much more powerful. So this one is hard. If you truly believe extrinsic motivation is the way to go because you get results, you're right that you get results in the short term. There are major problems, and I don't want to go into a huge long thing about it. I do have a podcast episode on it, so check that out. If you want to go even deeper, Alfie Kohn's book, Punished by Rewards, goes very deep into it. There's a lot of other books I've read that have also touched on it pretty extensively. So if you want more recommendations on that, if you want to talk more about that, reach out to me. But I want you to keep in mind that if we are rewarding a child for reading, writing, math, any kind of schoolwork, what we're doing is telling that child that they shouldn't want to do it, that it would be weird if they just wanted to read, write, and do math, because it's not fun. So I'll reward you to do it, right? You're assuming that they won't be intrinsically motivated to learn that material, which means that if they did want to learn how to read, and now you're rewarding them for reading, suddenly they stop being as interested in learning how to read. And now you start getting resistance. So then you up your bribe. And now they're going to be interested in reading, but only because they want to get the bribe, until they don't care about that bribe anymore. And then you have to up it again. And all along, you're just driving them further and further away from wanting to learn how to read for the sake of learning how to read, or becoming a better reader, whatever that skill is, learning fractions, whatever it is. If you're focused on getting them to do something right now, which all of these extrinsic motivators tend to be very short term, like right now, if you do this, you'll get this, or even this week, this month, this year, you wind up with a kid who's not interested in learning for the sake of learning. And I think all of us, I hope all of us actually want to create lifelong learners, kids who grow up wanting to learn more and more and more. And a lot of us had an experience in public school, if you went to public school, of having this situation where you're being bribed to do something. I remember as a kid, I got awards all the time. And I remember like they meant nothing to me because I always got all the awards. and I'm not saying that to try to brag, but it was just like, I was a well-behaved kid. School was relatively easy for me. But then I also didn't know what to do when things got hard. I assumed I wasn't good at things because they weren't immediately easy. I kind of got put into a situation where I only was willing to do the things I already knew I was good at. And I was only, which is why right now I'm now trying to learn things that I was afraid to learn as a kid because I wasn't already good at them. Like music, art, things like that. So what I was starting to say is a lot of us wound up in a situation where the longer we went to school, the less we liked school. Because we kept getting this message that we shouldn't like school, right? If you're going to give me grades, rewards, pay me for my grades even, I must not want to do it for the sake of doing it. It must be weird if I just wanted to do it. So I'm not going to actually do it. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. And now, like, when you start bribing kids to do things, they start feeling manipulated into doing it and start feeling like they're being forced to do something. And the older they get, the less willing to be forced to do something they are. So the more they dislike the place that's forcing them to do it. Okay. I'm going to get off my soapbox there. Hopefully on some level, I've convinced you to at least look into this further. We don't want to be using those extrinsic motivators. We want to do everything we can to build intrinsic motivation to learn, which means we need to be thinking big picture. What is our ultimate goal? My ultimate goal is around education is to create kids who are become adults who love learning, are interested in learning, know how to learn things for themselves, are critical thinkers, and have skills that would allow them to be successful in life by figuring things out, by learning new things as needed. It's not that right now, my goal is not right now to have kids who can do any particular skill, because it's too short term. And we'll talk more about big picture towards the end. Okay, that was heavy. I'm going to get off my soapbox and get into the fun stuff. Strews. So this is one of my favorite ways to get kids just interested in learning something that they have not previously been interested in learning. The younger the kid is, the better this tends to work, because older kids tend to have felt manipulated for so long that they are suspicious of things. But I will talk about some strews that I've used that have worked with older kids. So a strew, I thought this word was weird because when I hear strew, I just think about things strewn about like haphazardly. But I first heard this from Avital, the parenting junkie, and I'm in her membership, Present Play. It's lovely. So she talks about using a strew to get a kid interested in playing and to build independent play. So it's all about sparking intrigue. Now I've taken that and used it to spark intrigue in something a little educational. So it's just like very similar, but kind of an educational spin for what we're talking about here. So think of this as like you're leaving a surprise for your kid to find. You're inviting them to investigate something further. So let's look at some examples because it makes way more sense when you see the examples. These are 5 different strews that I've done with my 3-year-old and younger, even my 1.5-year-old. So upper left, you see the bells. They come in that box that's in like the bottom right of that picture. And then there's the music book that I also have. So I set all of that out instead of just leaving the bells in the box on the shelf. I set it out, set it up, walk away. I'm not saying to my kid, let's go practice music. I'm setting the music up and walking away so that when my kid walks into the room and sees it, it's an invitation to engage with that music. No pressure, just invitation. And you can notice that difference of if it was on the shelf, they might think to pull it off. but they're less likely to notice it. It's nicely put away on the shelf. Now, they might go over and just clean it up. They might start just taking the box apart. There's like little dividers. Sometimes they do that. They just take the box apart instead of playing the musical instrument. So Strews won't always go the way you think they're going to go, and that's okay too. It's sparking some kind of interest and intrigue. They're learning about how boxes are constructed. I'm okay with all of that. And hopefully you are too. It's all about just opening an invitation, reminding them that we have this instrument that they can choose to use. Below that is our basket of musical instruments. So a different way that I'm strewing for music. Usually that basket is sitting on a shelf. Sometimes I'll pull it out and put it somewhere that is more visible, where a kid might want to go grab it and start playing something. In the middle, red, green, yellow, blue, sorting by color. Upper right, cutting with scissors, invitation to do that. So you can see I can use workbooks, worksheets, but instead of telling my kid, it's time to do this activity now, or let's go do this activity, which sometimes works. I'm not saying that never works, but just that slight difference. It becomes a strew when I set it up and leave, and they come in to see it set up. And without any pressure to do it, they can then choose to engage in it or not. They might just set it aside and do something else. They might use it in a way that I didn't think they were going to use it. It's just invitations. So all the ones on the right, the three on the right, are all of this screen. All of those were set up on a low table that they have. So you can see just different things, the keyboard out with the musical book open, they can choose to play it. And it's all color coded so that the 3-year-old can choose to use that or not. Here's some more for the 3-year-old and the 1.5-year-old. A letter strew, a number puzzle. So the puzzle set out pieces taken out of it so that they're thinking through that they might want to put it together. That might be something they want to work on. Now, it's possible that they'll walk in, ignore it, or do something else completely with it. And maybe later I'll just come in and clean it up so that it's not in the middle of the floor. But it was there. It was an invitation. And it often can plant a seed even if they don't engage with the activity right away. Now in the middle, you'll see a picture with a much bigger strew where I've strewed for like more of a theme, a topic, space. And we've got different books about space and puzzles about space and activities with space and a ball with space and all this space related stuff, right? I strewed for space. Topical. I don't do that very often because it's more brain power and work. So I don't do that very often, but that was one that I did. Then you got the number counting one, again, strewing with a worksheet, just setting it out and then walking away, working on numbers. This picture was taken after we had already done some. And I was like, oh, I should have taken a picture. I feel like there was something that I meant to mention and I forgot. Upper left is a letter sound book that we'd already read, but then I kind of was trying to re-engage that interest with putting the puzzle out with the alphabet and pulling out and saying, look, these match, not by saying, look, these match, but by just putting it next to it and walking away. And then I had to leave, so I don't even know if my kid wound up being interested. These are some different math strews for different ages. So upper left is the 3-year-old being interested, doing inside of the little container, little counters that go with each of them. And they can work on counting and recognizing numbers and learning about numbers that way. Here was just an invitation to work on a pattern, and they might choose to continue my pattern or start something completely fresh. Upper right here, we've got a multiplication chart that I started creating and then walked away from. And maybe the kid will want to pick it up and finish it. Maybe they won't. If they ask me about it, I'll say, oh, do you want to finish that for me? Or I might even just say, do you want to finish the 5s for me? If you notice, I don't go in order. Usually when I do multiplication charts, I go 1, 2, 5, 10, or 1, 5, 10, 2, somewhere in there. And then I do 11s and 12s. we can talk about that another time. I go on a whole thing there. This is an activity that came with the school's math curriculum that I had set out for some kids. Just set it out, walked away. They can choose to engage with it or not, but it's working on a specific skill. This one, again, was at home with the 3-year-old, just an early exploration with fractions, setting it out, setting some pieces loose, seeing what they want to do with that. Fractions at school, fraction strips. So you've got fractions and what they're all equal to, equivalents. So fraction, they can choose to kind of explore and learn about fractions that way. They can very easily figure out how different fractions can be added together. I shouldn't say very easily, but without direct instruction, they can use this to figure out how to add fractions together. So it can be really powerful. Okay, here's some older Strews. So you might strew, so older kids tend to be less interested in all the like cutesy little things and less games, although they kind of like that stuff too. So if you can find activities and games, you can set those out and leave those. It also can be something as simple as leaving a journal out. And now maybe with this journal, you've got an actual journal prompt written out in the journal. If it's your child's personal journal and you don't have permission to write in it, please don't write in it. I find that to be like a invasion of privacy or of boundaries. Like, it's their personal journal, so I wouldn't write in it. I might put a sticky on it with like a prompt of something they might want to write about, or you might already have established that it's a back and forth journal that you write in it and then they respond in it, right? You can have something like that set up, leave it out, invite them. If it's a brand new journal, which clearly this one was not, you can just lay it out with a pencil and they might, grab it and start writing in it. And obviously, if you have multiple kids, it can be confusing. Who is it actually for? Maybe you have several laid out and everyone gets a new journal, or they've picked it out, so they already know whose is whose. And, it just arrived in the mail and you're setting it out that way to invite them to start writing in it. You can also just set out a sheet of paper, a pencil, and some kind of an informational text. This one is open to a page about nudibranchs, ocean creatures. Love the nudibranchs. So we can do that. That can spark interest. Do they want to take notes? Do they want to draw a picture of it? Is there anything about it that they want to engage with? No, they might close it. They might change the page. All of that is fine. Whatever they choose to do or not do is fine. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Okay. Bottom is just some different ways to strew, to engage interest in architecture and Lego building, creation. So there's this book, The Lego Architect. So it's just some different ways that I might strew that book with Lego. So I have the Lego Architect book. I have the architecture set. I might just show, like in the middle, the book with the set. I might open the book to a particular architectural style. Maybe we've already talked about an architectural style. Maybe we visited a particular architect and that particular architect is in here. We've seen it, we've talked about craftsman houses as we drove by, and I'm opening it up to the craftsman style and inviting them to engage. Or maybe I'm just demonstrating my interest and setting out a build that I did, letting them choose to then engage with that particular build, take it apart, build something else, pull out other pieces and build something else, see if they're interested. For any of these, if you feel like the strew didn't work, the kid didn't engage with it, I would not use the exact same strew for a while, but I would use the exact same strew again later, because kids go through different periods of interest, things that they're likely to be interested in at different times. So I might do one of those three at the bottom, probably start in the middle, or maybe the right, and then move to something else, depending on how things go. But like, I would wait probably a month in between doing a strew that's too similar to another one. And you don't have to strew every day. It's okay. I'm not suggesting that. Okay. Strewing with books. We can have the whole book just laid out. And so books work for all ages. I love books. I strew with books all the time because it's also the easiest thing and it engages so much interest. Okay, so you can do the whole book. The cover of the whole book is showing. Or you can open it up to a particular specific part that you might want them to be engaged with. Now, that specific part might be because it's something they're already interested in, or it's something closely related to something they're interested in, or it's something you've already talked about recently, or it's, you know, it's something that's likely to catch their interest or catch their eye because they've seen it. Now, it's also going to catch their eye because, like I have here, I've got it just laid in the middle of the floor in front of the bookcase, but it's in the floor. They're going to notice that it's open and they're going to start engaging with it just because of its presence there. We don't normally have books open in the middle of the floor, although maybe more often than most families, or less, I don't know. I might also do the same thing on a couch, very similar to like how the journal was set out in that middle picture on the top. It might be on a couch, it might be on a bed. I might do it in different places. In fact, I thought I had a picture of, I think I accidentally deleted one where I had it out on a bed, just to show that I might do that. So some I've used, Caterpillar. So in this book, it's an informational text about all sorts of different things. I'm opening it up to the particular page I want to spark interest in, or I think would be sparking interest because we've been seeing caterpillars lately, or at the time we had. Doodling dragons, very interested in that. It's all about sounds. It's from Logic of English. So, and that, I'm not going to hone in my tangents. This book is A Year in Our New Garden. It has a story that my kids love, but there's also a lot of information in it. So if I want them to think more about some of the information in it, I might strew with items. In one case, I'd gotten some new gardening tools for them. So I left the new gardening tools out with this book so that they could kind of put those pieces together and just think about that book in a little bit of a different way than they had before. You can also strew with multiple books that connect an idea. So here I've got 3 different books that are all open to something about Australia. They may or may not engage with it. Again, they might just change the page, be interested in something else. Maybe they're going to go into looking at Antarctica instead. And that's totally cool. You got them engaged in something. That's great. Also, you've planted that seed of realizing that they have 3 books that all talk about Australia and other places. This is one that I got from Things They Love. It's a cute little wooden toy shop here in Southern California. And she did this with her 3-year-old. She had set up this spider. You know, she built out this little spider and she opened the book up to a spider, and her kid was in the moment, not particularly interested, kind of just started playing with all the stuff right away. Was very interested in all the stuff, not as interested in learning about the spiders. But later in the day, they did go back and did more activities with spiders. And they were able to have some learning around spiders. And again, there's no requirement that a 3-year-old knows anything about spiders or any of us. It's just about getting kids to be interested and love learning, always thinking big picture, not trying to accomplish a particular task. So my question for you is, what will you strew today? So go ahead and let me know what it is you're going to strew today. If you're watching the replay, email me to let me know what are you going to strew today so that I can enter you all for prizes. The big picture. This is what we've been talking about, right? This is super important. And we're going to get into more strategies in just a second. And we're going to go through them fast because I always wind up talking more than I mean to. Big picture. A single strew is like the petal on one of those flowers inside the microscope. So hopefully you can see this little microscope, or magnifying glass, not a microscope. This magnifying glass down here. Think about a strew as like one tiny petal. Like it is so minuscule compared to this whole big picture of your child's life and what you're actually trying to accomplish. Okay. Any single activity that you're doing, one grade level even is magnifying glass size compared to their whole life and what we're actually trying to do for them. We want to create kids who love learning, know how to learn, are critical thinkers. I'll let you decide all the rest of your goals, but think about, what is your big picture? What is your vision for who your child is as a learner? That's what matters. So don't ever get hung up on, I have to get them to finish this homework assignment. I have to get them to finish this math workbook page. I have to get them to, right? We have to be thinking big picture. If you have a win in getting them to read a book because you bribed them, are you creating a lifelong reader by doing that? Are you creating a lifelong learner? Or are you creating someone who now knows that they can read, they're willing to read if they get paid for it, but they shouldn't do it unless they're getting paid? So think about all of that. Remember, we're talking big picture, what we really want for our kids. What is our real vision for them? And how do we accomplish that? When we set up a Strew, or if we do any of the other activities we're going to talk about in a minute, it is just one tiny, tiny little piece inside of a magnifying glass. It helps us develop what we really want for our child, but it's not the whole thing. So if they don't engage with the Strew that we lay out, it doesn't matter. Because if we're not forcing anything, they at least know that learning opportunities are available to them. They could choose to learn about this. Right? They've got these different things. Okay. So switch to my tea. I'm going to show out this amazing cup from my friend. Hopefully you can see how amazing this cup is. I love it. Okay. So more ways to spark interest, as promised. You might try reading a book about a new topic. Hey, Joey, I got this great new book from the library or from Barnes & Noble. I actually have to repair this book. It's the only reason it's sitting right here. Let's go read it. And if the kid says, I don't want to, then you go, okay, I'm going to go look at it. You don't say, but I got it for you, or, but you love this. Don't argue. Just say, okay, no problem. And you might say, okay, I'm just going to leave it right here. And you walk away, or, oh, I want it. Okay, I'm going to look at it though, because I'm really interested in this book. All right. And then, oh, look. All right, I probably wouldn't say, oh, look, I would just be like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh. Sorry, this whole thing is like a lift the flat book. So there's all sorts of interesting things. Okay. Not the point. The point is, I'm saying, hey, I got this. Let's go check it out. The kid might say, great, let's go check it out. Might say, no, we don't force anything. We just move forward. And because the assumption is, it'd be kind of like saying, coming home from the store with a box of cookies. And if you say to your kid, hey, I got these new cookies, do you want one? And they say, no, you're not gonna be like, but you love cookies. Come on, eat a cookie, right? Like, you're not gonna force them to eat a cookie. You just be like, okay, they're on the shelf if you want one. Or, okay, let me know if you want one. And you walk away. Like, it's not a big deal. But we get this thing in our head where we have to that we're supposed to get our kid to do these different learning activities. And it winds up just making kids more resistant, because now they're feel like they're being manipulated and forced into doing something they don't want to do. Let's stop that. So what you might try, just reading it. You also can just, this isn't a good example because it doesn't have much, well, it has some facts in it. So I might just start reading. Do you live in a house or an apartment block? Do you know your neighbors in big cities all over the world? So I'm kind of just reading it to myself, but maybe the kid is going to be interested. A different kind of book, I might read a little more out loud. Our planet is bursting with hundreds of big cities, bustling with millions upon millions of people. And especially if I haven't, I might start that way instead of asking if the kid wants to read. If they say no, and then you start reading it out loud, it feels like you're forcing something on them. It's like asking them, do you want a cookie? And they say no. And then you put it on the table in front of them anyway. And they're like, I just said no. Why are you forcing a cookie on me? It must be a healthy cookie or something. I don't trust that cookie, right? They get like suspicious. Understandably, I would too. But I might just say, oh, I got a new book. And then I might just start reading it. And maybe they'll come over and engage. Just different approaches. You can offer, you can just start reading, you can look at it. Audiobooks would also count. You can play an audiobook in the car. You can play an audiobook while they're playing with Lego. You can play an audiobook wherever, just to get them to start interested, to start hearing about some new topic that you think they would be interested in. You might try watching a movie about a new topic. Most kids love watching movies. If your kid is like, I don't want to watch this movie, it's boring, say, okay, I'm going to watch it. Or, okay, we can turn it off. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's just another way to spark interest. So just be thinking about, like, if you're doing story time with your family anyway, just maybe be thinking about or movie time, sorry, both story time or movie time. You might be thinking, oh, I'd really like, so we're just trying to be more intentional with it, right? So just trying to think through, I'd really like for them to broaden their interest in more to more topics. And right now they're really interested in construction. So I think they might be really interested in how cities work. Can you tell why I bought this book to begin with? I think they might be interested in that. And then it gets them more information and they start to have a bigger picture of the world and know more things, right? Which then sparks more interested in knowing more things, because the more they know, the more they want to know, typically. Another really great strategy is talking to someone, which is pretty much anyone. As long as you kind of screen for, are they going to be appropriate? Because I've gotten some stories. So this one, I would say, is courtesy of my husband. He's very good about talking to people and asking them questions. And he's told me these stories about people he talked to at the park. You know, he took the kids to the park. And then later he tells me about these stories. And I'm like, well, that wasn't necessarily appropriate for the kids to be hearing about. It was like a woman who was a bus driver and like a stabbing on the bus. I'm like, I don't know if I wanted my little kids hearing about that. Or these people that work in, it's not hazardous waste, but it's something with like hazardous stuff. And the stories, I'm not even going to tell you the story that were then told in front of my children, but at least they know we can talk to people and get interesting stories. So I don't mean to scare you off of talking to people. Talk to people, just maybe have a little filter with when to stop the conversation or when to change the topic of conversation and how to ask the questions to guide that. So as you can tell, right now with my kids, they aren't usually the ones asking the questions. Sometimes they do though. They already are starting to ask questions, which usually then we repeat for the sake of the adult ears who aren't used to the sound of a 3-year-old speaking and what that sounds like and how to know what they're saying. So we might re-ask what the 3-year-old or 1.5-year-old is asking so that the adult can then answer that question and engage with them. And they get to know what all sorts of people are doing. So anytime you go somewhere, you can ask people there about what they're doing, whether it's the grocery store or a museum or on a hike or, now don't bug people, but like on a hike, you see a ranger, maybe you're going to stop and talk to the ranger about why they have that career, about the animals that live in the area, about the time of year and what kinds of things are happening, about their job, about whatever it is that you or your kids are interested in. You just learn new information that way, right? It's sparking interest in learning from other people, sparking interest in knowing about more things. So all of that is just sparking interest. And then the kid is like, oh, I want to learn more about that. I wonder if I would be a good ranger. Maybe I should look into that. You might also try going on an outing. And I've kind of combined a few ideas here into one just to like stick to 5, because In a lot of ways, this is more than one idea. You might go on outing to a new place that you've never been before, and that alone will spark interest, hopefully. Or it might be a place you go all the time. My kids always go to the park. But maybe one day, and we have a bunch of parks really close to us that we can walk to, but maybe one day, one of those parks we go to and take crayons and paper to do leaf rubbings at the park. And then that might turn into something else, right? So I might do a different activity. Or maybe we're on a hike that we go on all the time, or even just walking around the neighborhood, and we start noticing something. Let's look for birds and how many birds we can find. We're going to take our binoculars. We're going to go bird watching. I'm going to bring my nature journal. Do you want to bring your nature journal? And this is not with my 3-year-old, but with, or 1.5-year-old. This is with slightly older kids, much older kids. You can have those kinds of conversations and be thinking about, do you want to take your nature journal with you? I'm going to take mine. I want to watch for birds and see what birds I can identify. I'm going to take the bird book. I'm going to have that goal. So I'm modeling, which is really an underlying piece here that I probably should have been more explicit in saying. If you notice, I keep saying offer, just start doing things. You're modeling. A lot of what I'm saying is model that love of learning through all of these different activities, and your kids can choose to engage or not. Don't pressure them. I'm going to stop there. I keep getting back on that soapbox because I see it all the time, and I know it comes from a good place. I don't blame anyone who does any kind of bribes or anything. I totally understand where it's coming from. I just want you to understand that there's a lot of research. There's not any research that I've heard of that really supports it. And yet, in a deep way, and yet we assume that it's true and we keep going back to it because it looks like it works when we do things really fast, right? It looks like it works to say, hey, if you read this, I'll give you an M&M. And we're like, I don't care if they have an M&M. So we think it's fine. But we're sending a message, and that message can be harmful because we're telling them they shouldn't read unless they're getting an M&M, and they shouldn't want to read, right? You're never going to give your kid an M&M for eating their dessert, but we give them dessert for eating their dinner, and that's it. You're never going to give your kid an M&M for playing a video game, but you're giving them an M&M for reading a book. Let's just assume that they want to read books by enjoying reading books ourselves. Okay, and if you've done that already, which you probably have, I think all of us on some level bribe our children, praise our kids more than we probably should in less good ways. Okay, we need to talk more about it another time. I can't keep going on about this. I've gone way longer than I meant to go. So keep in mind the interests that you've identified. You wrote them all down. The interests that you start engaging when you are doing these strews and these different activities, they're all just jumping off points to more interest, more engagement, more self-driven learning, more academic efforts. It's all about getting kids just interested in the process of learning. Let me know if you have questions. Email me about all of this. And like I've said throughout, this is all about building that intrinsic motivation. It is not about how do I get my kid interested in doing this math sheet. It's probably not going to happen. Because yeah, you might bribe them to get them to do it, but then you're not getting them to care about it long term. And if you don't care if they care long term, that's fine. My big picture is I want to create kids who become adults, who are lifelong learners, know how to learn, have a love of learning. It is not to have any particular end goal for that child, whether it's if they never graduate high school. I'm okay with that if I've created the opportunity for them to be a lifelong learner, right? Like the two seem like they would go together, but they don't have to. So just thoughts. I'm all about building that intrinsic motivation. You now have the beginning step of how to get your child optimally engaged. Sorry, didn't change it. Always start where they're at. with what they are interested in, as just at least mentally starting there, so that you're thinking through, they like this, they care about this, how can I, what's the next step that would make sense, right? To get them to another point of interest. Not that you can't just bring things in out of nowhere, but you're thinking through knowing where they're at, thinking through both interest-wise and ability-wise. Because if they're reading at a first grade level, you're not going to leave out a sixth grade text and expect them to go read it. You're going to leave out something at their level that's appropriate. So you're thinking through, what do I know about my particular kid? Okay, kids learn when things are fun, interesting, engaging, and just challenging enough. This is really big. I'm not going to go too deep into it though, because I talk about it a lot. So now that you have the right mindset for optimizing your child's education, how would you like me to help you figure out the details? Here's your opportunity, and I'm going to go as fast as I can through this. So I want you to have this information about how you can get more support. I want you to understand this opportunity well, but I also want to respect your time. So this is very limited time, very limited availability. I'm only opening the doors to this program for 1 week. So that's your limited time, because I've got to fill spots. Very limited availability, particularly if it's for the one-on-one, which we're going to be talking about in a second. So we'll talk about all that. You can gain confidence and clarity on your homeschooling journey through a customized plan for your family, without the doubt, overwhelm, confusion, and frustration. For far less than the cost of a private tutor, you can be fully confident and competent in how to educate your child, yourself, your way. You will learn how to get past learning struggles, make learning enjoyable, and love the learning process alongside your child. So remember that your success in homeschooling will not depend on whether or not you selected the right curriculum. Your success is depending on how you are presenting yourself each day. Like I've said, modeling a love of learning and being intentional. So are you guiding your child's education with confidence and clarity? Are you leading with peace and with joy? Are you intentional in the choices that you make each day, each week, each month, and each year? Are you just like grabbing random things? Are you just going to the next page in the book? Or are you intentional because you're going to the next page of the book? It can be very different. Are you intentional? Are you mindful of how you are spending your precious time? If you are spending hours a day looking up different curricula, that is not necessarily the best use of your time. It is probably not the best use of your time unless you just don't sleep very much. You need to know how to show up each day confident. Sorry. I've been going for over an hour. I need to stop. You need to know how to show up each day confident that you are doing exactly what needs to be done for your child on that day and at that moment. And while that may sound overwhelming, it can actually be completely liberating. So how do you find that confidence? It all happens inside my 12-week Homeschool Hero program, where you will get individualized support and end the overwhelm, confusion, frustration, and doubt. At the end of our 12 weeks together, you will have a clear understanding of who your child is as a learner. You will know what your child's strengths and needs are. You will recognize the best way to structure your specific homeschool life. You will have answers to your specific homeschool questions. You'll be able to approach each day, each week, each month, and each school year with clarity and with confidence, intentionally, right? So there are two options. Like I said, there's a group program or the one-on-one program. Group program and one-on-one both have an individual intake form that I'm reviewing to make sure everything is customized, individualized for you. Group program is 6 live calls. They are Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. If that is not going to work for you, please don't sign up for the group program. It is not so good, even though there's recordings of all the calls. If you miss 1 week, it's not so bad. But if you're going to miss all of them or most of them, it's really not a good fit for you. Because the value lies in the ability to have that conversation live. So if you're available, it's a really great option. If you're not available, please don't sign up for the group program. I don't want you to feel like you can't participate. There's also a private Facebook group as part of that program. The dates for this next cohort, so this is why I have, the cart's only open for 1 week. The doors are open for 1 week. Because the dates are coming up very soon. November 6th, we're going to start November 6th and 20th. So it's every other week that we're meeting. November 6th, November 20th, December 4th, December 18th, January 8th, January 22nd. So every other week we're going through. The one-on-one program still has the individual intake form. There's a 90-minute intake call to really go deep into everything, get you started on a very clear path of where are you going. Here's your first big chunk of what you want to do next to be successful. And then 5 more live calls that are going, they'll be at your schedule and my schedule, our schedule combined. They're about 60 minutes each. And we'll be continuing with the path that we started on in that first call. Every time I'll have a summary. I wrote 6 summarizing documents. It's actually like all in one document, like a Google Doc that I just share with you and add to, so that you don't have to like find all 6 of them, that you've just got one continuous document. I will have 6 check-ins. They'll either be a text or an email, whichever one you prefer. And I'll just be checking in on your off weeks to know how you're doing and see if you have any questions. So you then can ask me, I don't understand how to do this. I don't know how to teach that. What do I do about this? I'll help you. We'll guide you. And then personalized and individualized videos and PDFs. I did not include a number on that because different clients need different things. I have had parents whose kid has a particular need, and all they really need are a whole bunch, like all that I have provided for them is a whole bunch of these visuals, PDF visuals that they can look at and watch, or look at and use as visuals for their kid around the house, because that's what that kid needed. Others haven't needed any of that. They need videos showing them exactly how to teach particular skills in a different way than they were trying to teach. You know, they tried one way, it wasn't working. So I talked them through another way, and then I make them a little video about how to teach that skill so that they can show the video to their kid, but more so that they can see it and reference it again and again as a strategy to teach that particular skill. So some people only videos, some people only PDFs, most people get a little bit of both. It just depends on what you particularly are needing. So it's very individualized. The topics covered include but are not limited to, or can include but are not limited to, for both group and one-on-one. It can include these things. Group tends to include all of these. Theoretically, I haven't run the group yet. Last time I opened the doors, which was the first time I opened the doors, I wound up having everyone just sign up for the one-on-one. So those spots go fast. If you want group, sign up for a group. If you want one-on-one, sign up super fast. And I actually was going to put, okay. So topics covered: setting up an ideal learning environment, capitalizing on your child's strengths, capitalizing on your child's interests, learning preferences, learning challenges. This is where I feel like is my superpower. This is, my kid is struggling to read. And then we talk through, what does that actually mean? What is that actually looking like? What is actually happening here? Okay, so what it sounds like is, now let's try, here's how you're going to do it. Maybe I'm making a little video to demonstrate it for you. But very specific learning challenges, we are addressing all of those. We also be talking and reviewing what I just went over for the last hour plus, which is getting engagement and buy-in and participation from your child. We want to get your kid really involved in the learning process. Bonuses for you. Those of you who are watching, which is why I encourage you to stay until the end, you get all of these things, but only if you tell me that you know about them. You have to tell me, hey, give me those bonuses, or I'm not going to give them to you because it just becomes too much. So email me after you sign up and let me know that you want the bonuses. So the bonuses, one-on-one VIP coaching call at the end of the 12 weeks. So if you're a one-on-one person, that means you get 7 one-on-one sessions. If you are in the group program, you'll also get a private one-on-one call at the end. There's a running record reading assessment. So this is where there's a few different ways to do it, but I'm going to be analyzing your child's reading to be very specific in telling you what is happening with it, and then giving you a very individualized report with actions to take in their reading and how all those pieces fit together. So after you sign up, email me to be sure you get your bonuses. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what is the cost? And I will tell you that it's not horrifically expensive, especially compared to others. So I'm going to show you really fast. Tutors tend to cost anywhere from $20 an hour to $150 an hour, depending on their level of qualification. And they typically require hundreds of hours, which is costing thousands of dollars. So if you're looking to save money, tutors typically are not the best way to go. Curriculum can cost $20 to $500 for each subject, which if you keep trying to find new ones is costing you thousands of dollars. Other homeschool coaching type of programs cost $1,000 or more. From what I was looking at, I didn't find any that are specializing in kids with learning challenges. And they tend to all be just people who have homeschooled themselves and are then giving their expertise in what worked for them and their family. So having worked with hundreds of kids inside of homes, outside of homes, I'm kind of coming from a different background. So I don't know that I exactly compare to anyone who's already out there, but I do plan on co-charging at least $1,000 going forward. Not immediately, but it will be there eventually. I don't think that they're overpriced. I think that there's a lot of value and it takes a lot of time and effort and energy. So your group program, if I were to charge you for my current costs, this is where we'd be with a total total cost would be over $400. The one-on-one program, my total cost, if I charged you for each piece, would be almost $2,000. The bonuses would increase those costs even more. So I'm saying value in quotation marks because to me, the value is priceless if you're changing from struggling, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed to feeling confident, right? That's my goal for you. But whatever we've got. So the actual cost is the group program is $257. The Homeschool Hero one-on-one program is $547. And just full transparency, those prices do have to go up in the future. I can't keep them that low. I just am working on getting some founding members, ironing some things out. So it's only that low right now. If you're interested in jump on it now before the prices go up, because next time they will probably be higher the next time the doors open. So things you might be thinking, it sounds so great, but I'm already stretched so thin. Or I am so ready to sign up, I just don't have the money. I encourage you to think through those a little carefully, very carefully. I'm going to tell you a story. Back when, about 7 years ago, I was having a ton of back pain. I have scoliosis. So for, decades, I was going to the chiropractor constantly, getting massages, different things to just try to like maintain and work through the back pain and like keep it from not being too bad. But it was just too much. And I knew from having done it in college that yoga helped me a lot. So I knew that I should join it, or I thought I should join a yoga studio. But then I told myself, well, no, I could just do that for free watching YouTube videos at home. It's the same thing. But I didn't watch the YouTube videos, first of all. And once I finally, and I wasn't sleeping. So I was wasting time not sleeping. And I was wasting money going to the chiropractor and the massage therapist. And I wasn't sleeping because I was in pain. So eventually I decided I'm going to go to, I'm going to sign up for the yoga studio. I'm going to join the yoga studio. And I was so glad I did, because I also realized that watching those videos was not the same thing as actually having someone there helping me know exactly how to be in alignment. It was such a different experience. And the back pain stopped. So I got better sleep and was able to do more. And I didn't need to go to a massage therapist all the time or the chiropractor all the time. And in the end, I was saving time and money. But initially, I thought I didn't have the time or the money to be able to go. So just think through, how true is it that you don't have the time or the money? Really think through, where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your money? Where are your pitfalls with that? So just think through it. Let me know what's true for you. All right, to sign up, you have homeschoolhero.com, and I'm going to show you this page real fast. So once you click on the link to sign up, you will have this page. You can just jump straight to sign up, and you're going to see the two options. So there's the group option or the one-on-one option. And you're just choosing right here. These darker blue buttons are where it's actually going to take you to the checkout page. And you'll notice here, I do want your shipping address because I want to be able to send you a gift, but only for those who are watching and know. All right. So let me jump back to this. Okay. Hopefully you saw all the things I want to show you. So this is that checkout page again. So I don't actually homeschool my kid though. I just wanted to get them some extra help, or I'd rather just pay for a tutor. It's all too much for me. So if you just want to get your kid extra help, sign up. I'm there to help you. If you feel like it's too much for you, you are very welcome to pay for a tutor, but you want to keep in mind what is really happening with your child's learning. Why are they or are they not engaged? And there's so much more that can happen outside of tutoring sessions, school sessions, right? One of the reasons I did this is because I saw all these kids in school struggling, and I knew that if their parents were homeschooling them, they could have all these 5-minute lessons throughout their day that would work way better for them than being in class, than being in school for 6.5 hours a day. It was like the time allotment just wasn't working for them. You have way more power as a parent to manage education throughout the whole day. So think about it, whatever is true for you. The other one I hear is, what if I sign up and then decide this isn't for me? Reach out to me. If you're not sure if this is going to be right for you, please, there's a link on the page, the Homeschool Hero page, to talk to me. Go to the very bottom. There's a link. You can schedule a call and we'll chat through it. We'll just talk through it, see if it's going to be right for you or not. If I don't think it's a good fit, I will tell you. If you do sign up, we have our first session and you feel like it's not right for you, I'm not here to like take your money and run. I don't want you feeling bad about it. Reach out to me. I am willing to like prorate a refund and then open that spot up to someone else. Okay. So Those of you who have stayed until the end, thank you so much. There are extra special bonuses for you, a very personalized gift actually mailed to you. So that's why I need your actual address, but only if you sign up before Monday. So sign up, email me to let me know that you know about all the bonuses so that I give you all the bonuses, including this very special personalized gift that I want to mail to you. So right now you are going to www.yourparenthelp.com/hero, and there's a link wherever you're watching the replay. I look forward to seeing you there, and email me with any questions and all of your answers to all of those participations.